TOPS Professional Owner Beginning Balances. In this course, we will show how to enter beginning balances for homeowners in a new community. We will cover entering both credit and debit balances. When a new community is set up in TOPS, some of the owners within that community will have an outstanding balance owed from the previous management records or from accounting records maintained in another software program. These opening balances must be entered into TOPS so that you can pick up where the balances left off in that previous program. There are two ways to access the Owner Beginning Balances screen. You can either click on the Beginning Balance button when initially entering the owner into TOPS, or you can click on AR, Owner Balances, then look up the owner whose beginning balance you'd like to enter, and click the Beginning Balance button. Both methods will bring you to the same screen. To enter an owner's beginning balance, first you'll have to choose the AR charge code to associate with that balance entry. To do so, click the drop-down arrow next to Code. This will bring up the listing of active AR charge codes. When entering in an owner's beginning balance, you can either enter it in as a lump sum amount, or you can divide the balance among the different charge codes. We're going to divide our balances among the different charge codes, beginning with our regular association fee. So, we'll just choose our A1 association fee code, and then click OK to complete our selection. Next, we'll enter in the date of our beginning balance entry. We recommend you enter the last day of the last accounting period before starting this community in TOPS. This assures that the owner's balances are properly aged on the AR reports. Next, we'll need to enter in the dollar amount that is outstanding. If you were going to just lump sum enter the balances, then you would put in the total amount owed by this owner. But since we're actually dividing the owner's total balance due by the different charges, we'll just enter in the outstanding association fee amount. Notice that TOPS automatically entered the offset account based on the GL income account that's associated with our AR charge code. This account is here only for your information. TOPS does not generate a general ledger entry for owner beginning balances. This is because the AR balances are already included in the GL balances when they're initially entered into TOPS. So, if this process made a general ledger entry, then those balances would end up being duplicated in your general ledger. Now let's enter in our next beginning balance amount. To do so, we'll click in the code column on the next line below our first entry, and then click the drop-down arrow next to Code to bring up our charge codes. The next amount we'll be entering will be the late fee amount that this owner currently owes. So we'll click on Late Fees, and then click OK to complete our selection. Notice that the date has automatically populated based on the date that we entered above. So, now all we need to do is enter in the amount of the late fees this owner has outstanding. We have one more charge amount to enter for this owner. Attorney fees. Again, our date has automatically been set based on the previous entries, so all we need to do is enter in the amount of attorney fees owed by this owner. Once we've completed entering in the different charges for this owner's beginning balance, just click OK to save this entry. Now let's take a look at the AR history for this owner to see what our beginning balance entry looks like. You can see that we have 3 line items, all marked as Initial Liability Balance. That way, when reviewing this owner's history, you will always know that these charges were entered in as a beginning balance for this owner. Let's select another owner to enter in their beginning balance. This owner has a credit balance on their account. If we enter it in as a negative balance here, then we'd have to associate it with a particular AR charge code. Doing that means that the credit will only get applied against future charges of that type and not against all charges applied to this owner's account. Instead, we'll enter the credit in as a prepaid balance, which will allow it to be applied to any future charges accrued by this owner. To begin, we'll click on the Select Prepaid button. Notice that TOPS automatically set our date to match the date we entered for our first owner. That way, you don't forget to change the date if you're entering in beginning balances for multiple owners at one time. Just like with entering balances owed, we have to choose the prepaid code to associate with this owner's beginning balance. So we'll click in the code column on the first line of our table, and then click the drop-down arrow next to code. You can see that there are prepaid codes associated with all of our AR charge codes. If you happen to know that this owner's prepaid credit should only be applied to a specific charge like association fees or a special assessment, then you can select the appropriate prepaid code here, and that credit will then only be applied to future charges of that type. Since we want this owner's credit to be able to be applied to any future charge, we'll select the generic auto prepaid code, and then click OK to complete our selection. Next, we'll enter in the dollar amount of this owner's credit, and then click OK to go back to our main beginning balances window. You can see that we are now showing a prepaid credit entry of $200 for this owner. Now we'll just click OK to complete this owner's beginning balance entry. Let's take a look at this owner's history to see how their credit balance displays. This time, the entry is showing as an initial credit balance instead of a liability balance, and at the top of the history window, it displays a $200 prepaid balance. This completes our TOPS Professional Owner Beginning Balances course. Thank you.